By the time she called me, her mascara was running, her fortune was gone, and the man she thought she married had vanished. Her voice trembled through the static. She said, "Mom, please, I need you, but let's rewind to the night." She smiled across the table and pretended I didn't exist. My son's wedding was perfect, the kind of perfection you can only buy. Imported roses, champagne that smelled like wealth, and a string quartet playing for people who weren't listening. I was the mother of the groom. I'd paid for half of it, the venue, the dress, even her veil. And when the bride raised her glass for a toast, she thanked everyone except me. It wasn't the words that hurt. It was the confidence. The way she looked through me, like I was something she'd already outgrown. A week later, she was at my door. No makeup, no diamonds, just shaking hands and swollen eyes. She said, "He took everything, the accounts, the crypto, even the trust fund." She told me my son had been running an investment group, something with NFTs and liquidity pools and early tokens. I didn't understand the words, but I understood fear. She had given him access to her inheritance, over $1.2 million, and my son, my only son, had transferred it all into something called Orion Vault. But Orion Vault wasn't a vault, it was a vacuum. The police called it a domestic dispute. The crypto exchange called it irreversible, and my son called it love. When I checked my own accounts, I saw 2 transfers I never made, $30,000, labeled as wedding expense refund. But it hadn't gone to me. It had gone to Orion Vault. He used my name, my cards, my trust, to build his empire of lies, and she was his silent investor, and his victim. Then she said something that cut through me. "He said it was your idea." That night, she stayed at my house. I made her tea. She made a confession. She told me she'd helped him fake investor returns, that she was the voice behind the fake calls, the one promising profits that didn't exist. She wasn't innocent. She was complicit. But when the money vanished, so did my son. She showed me the last message he sent her. It said, "Don't call me again." Her breath caught, and for the first time, I pitied her. She told me about their last argument, how he'd screamed about liquidity lockups, how he'd grabbed her wrist when she threatened to expose him. She said, "If I go to the cops, I go down to..." She had proof, voice logs, fake files, everything. And if she fell, so would he. So would our name. That's when I realized this wasn't about saving her. It was about burying him. A week later, she tried to fix it. She thought if she could trace the transfers, she could find him. She had his old credentials. But what she didn't know was that he'd left something else behind. She found files, dozens of them. Her face, her voice, her image used in fake videos, fake identities, fake investor ads. He hadn't just stolen her money, he'd stolen her existence. She tried to fight back. She sent an email. "This is fraud. I have proof." No one replied. 2 hours later, the police came. They had questions about her involvement, about the hundreds of investors whose calls had her voice. She tried to explain. They didn't believe her. Then one detective asked, "Do you know a Marion Cole?" My name? That's when I realized what he'd done. He'd linked my identity to her withdrawals, and her name to my accounts. He framed her with my name, and me with her crimes. A perfect triangle of guilt. He didn't just destroy us, he connected us, in ruin. Later that week, she saw the news. Orion Vault exposed. Founders vanished after $12 million disappeared. She stared at the headline. Then her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It said, "You shouldn't have looked." It wasn't from him. It was from one of his investors. "You were part of it," the message read. That night, she packed her suitcase. She said she'd go to the police again. Said she'd clear my name. She never made it. They found her car by the river. Door open, purse floating downstream. No body. They called it suicide. Later that night, I checked my email. There was a draft unsent. It said, "He used us both. But if you're reading this, It means I finally stopped him. And at the end, one last line. To Mom, I'm sorry I didn't, thank you. I told the police I didn't know where he went. They never found him. Sometimes, I wonder if he's still out there, selling dreams, draining lives, turning love into ledger entries. Or maybe, he finally met someone who could outcon him. That's when I heard the sound. A notification on my laptop. A new transfer. 12.3 Bitcoin. No sender name. In the end, betrayal doesn't end lives. It reinvests them in darker markets,